Hello everyone, and welcome back to another EU4 video. Today we're going to be doing a guide for the nation of Ireland in EU4 1.34. Now you might have noticed why I am starting in starting screen instead of a nation, and the reason I'm starting in the starting screen is because when you start as Ireland, you can pretty much choose from any one of these Irish nations here. So don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as it helps out immensely. And now let's take a look at some of these different Irish minors. There really is no right or wrong one to pick, so I wanted to show you all that it doesn't really matter which one you pick. You can pick the one that I'm going to do, or you can pick any of these other ones if you have one that takes your fancy. I did want to point out though that every single Irish minor has their own idea, which is absolutely amazing because I believe back in the day there was just like Irish ideas. I think maybe one or two of these guys had their own unique national ideas, but now all of these Irish minors have their own national ideas. So as you can see, some of them have morale of armies, some of them have tech costs. Honestly, all of the Irish minors have really good national ideas. Some are better than others, of course. Like as you can see here, cavalry flanking ability, that's not very good. Land attrition's pretty nice, as you can see here. For Go has stuff like this. You can see some of them actually have, I forget which one it is here, global settler increase. As you can see here, Munster actually has quite a bit of nice stuff here. Extra discipline, global settler increase, very, very nice ideas. So the reason I'm starting here in the nation select screen is just to show you all of the nice national ideas for the Irish minors. You can see Desmond has core creation cost, province, war score cost, absolutely amazing idea sets. I think out of all of the Irish minors, Desmond probably has some of the best ideas, I would say. So you can play as whoever you want. Desmond has a nice all-around idea. For me though, since in the strategy that I'm going to show you for this guide, we're going to be going to war with some very powerful people a little bit early, I'm actually going to choose Ormond. Ormond has some very nice military ideas. You can see their first idea group is plus 10% infantry combat ability, which is very, very nice. Diplo rep, all of these are really, really good, and that siege ability is very powerful. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Ormond. However, you can choose any of these Irish minors. In my game, I'm going to play as Ormond. So now let's jump into Ireland. The nation of Ireland is a nation located in Northern Europe. As Ireland, you can not only unite the Isles, but you can actually go ahead and not just form Ireland, as you can see here once you reach Tech 10. You can also go on to form Great Britain, and there's actually a very popular strategy where you form Great Britain for the Great Britain mission tree, but then you keep the Irish national ideas, which Ireland has some fantastic national ideas. However, before we do all of that, we need to go ahead and set up our estate. For the burghers, you want to give out Land of Commerce, Patronage of the Arts, indebted to the burghers, and we will give out Commercial Advisory Board once we stab up to stab 1, like always. For the nobility, you want to give out supremacy over the crown, increase levies, supremacy of the nobility, and again, we'll give this out once we stab up to stab 1. For the clergy, give out religious diplomats, religious state, and we'll give this out once again once we stab up to stab 1. And don't forget to summon the diet and choose whichever agenda works best for you. I'm going to choose this one right here and make sure you seize land. At this point in the game, you really are not making enough money to afford all 3 advisors, so I would just recommend to get 1 or 2 advisors. Definitely, however, make sure you get 1 advisor in mill. Of course, you want a morale of armies or discipline guy. I don't have that, so I'm just going to take this fort defense guy. And if you want, you can go ahead and get a Diplo advisor, ideally a Diplo rep or improve relations. If you find that they're costing too much money, just have them for a few months so you can get your alliances, and then you can go ahead and fire them. For your opening alliances, in my game, I'm actually really not able to ally anyone. You honestly don't really need any allies. You can get someone here in Northern Ireland, but remember, we're going to be conquering everyone in Ireland very, very quickly. So any allies that you have are not going to be for very long. But if you want, you need help in some of your wars, go ahead and maybe ally someone in Northern Ireland, someone that you'll be conquering last. I'm going to try to maybe ally someone up here in the north. So for your mission tree, the first thing you want to do is see where you want to start conquering. All Irish minors actually have a custom mission tree, as you can see here, and it basically revolves around just uniting Ireland. And some of it is colonizing the Americas and things like that, and conquering the British Isles. However, we do need to start our mission tree manually, so go ahead and see who you want to attack first and start spying on them. Really just look at the alliance networks and then make your decision from there. And don't forget, set your rivals after you get your opening alliances, as we don't want to upset anyone and potentially ruin any possible alliances. And now I was actually able to ally Munster. They're going to be a pretty good ally since they have a fort, so the AI is just going to focus all of their effort on that fort and not on me. After you get your first ally, you can go ahead and set your rivals. I'm just going to go ahead and rival the people that rival me. Remember, we're going to be conquering all of these people. So I'm just going to rival Lannister, Desmond, and Thormund. Why not? And now it's time to start spying on people so we can kickstart our mission tree. As you can see here, Lannister's only allied to Offaly. Desmond is actually allied to no one. And just look at the alliance networks around you. Usually everyone is allied to everyone. As you can see here, Kildare is actually allied to the English, which is quite common. You'll usually have at least 1 or 2 Irish miners in here be allied to England. Sometimes you can actually get some of them allied to France. Let's hope that doesn't happen in our game. So I'm just going to start spying on Cork here since they don't have any allies. And with my other diplomat, I'm going to start improving with the English. What we want to do is maybe ally the English, as a lot of times that can happen, and we want the English help with potentially any other Irish miner up here, or we want English help with Scotland, as Scotland is the first major person that we're going to be attacking in this game. So go ahead and see if you can ally the English, and at the very least just try to become friendly with them so they don't attack you. And don't forget to build up to force limit. As you can see, our force limit is only 6 since we're very poor, so just don't forget to build up to force limit. So once we do those opening moves, it's time to wait, let your spy network build up, potentially ally the English, and get ready for your first war. And remember, once you stab up to stab 1, don't forget to give out your advisor cost discount privileges. And once your spy network is finished being built on one of these neighbors, it's time to declare your first war. It doesn't have to be against Desmond, it can be against really anyone that you neighbor. Just make sure by this point in the game that you're declaring your first war. Mine is going to be against Desmond. For your peace deal against Desmond or anyone else that you're fighting, just go ahead and fully annex them. If you are at war with one of their allies, you can see here, if you can't annex them, perhaps vassalize them. You don't need to do that. You can also just white peace them. Honestly, I prefer the white piecing strategy. However, some people also like to do the vassalizing strategy, so you don't have to core everything. So it really is up to you. However, if you're at war with one of their allies, either white peace them or if you can, vassalize them. In my case, I can't do either of those things, so I'm just going to go ahead and fully annex Desmond and take all of their money. And immediately after declaring your first war, you should really try to jump in your second war as soon as you can. In my case, I'm able to jump in it instantly against Leinster because I was fabricating a claim on them while I was at war with Desmond. So I can go ahead and attack them right now. However, as soon as your first war finishes, make sure you go ahead and attack the next person. We want to be expanding in Ireland as fast as possible before the English or the Scottish get a further foothold into Ireland. So make sure that you're blitzing and conquering as much of Ireland as soon as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and declare my second war here against Leinster. And for the peace deal, you want to, of course, like all of the Irish miners, just fully annex them. I actually went back and co-belligerated Offaly. So make sure if you border someone to allies like this, go ahead and do that. Even if you don't, you honestly can still full annex them. The aggressive expansion doesn't matter because anyone that can join a coalition is just going to get annexed, as we're going to just completely outgrow the coalition. So just go ahead and full annex. During that war, I actually broke my alliance with Munster, which is fine because we need to expand into them in order to complete this mission called Conquer Munster. I was also able to royal marry the English, as you can see, but then they turned domineering to me immediately after, so I can't ally them. Hopefully this changes so I can ally them. I was able to royal marry them for some reason, but then they turned domineering, so I'll show you all if this changes. What I'm doing right now is just building a spy network against Munster, of course, so I can keep expanding. Once again, you really just need to keep declaring war after war after war. And so it's time to declare your next war. I was actually able to ally the English. They changed from domineering to protective, so I was actually able to ally them. We'll see how long this lasts. In my tester runs, I noticed that sometimes this will happen, but then they'll turn towards domineering a lot of the times. So regardless, try to ally them. If you can't ally the English, try to ally the Scottish, and make sure that you're constantly improving with both the Scottish and the French, just in case the English break their alliance with you or whatever the case may be. So now I'm going to go ahead and attack Munster. When you attack Munster, if you have 9k troops by that point, then go ahead and just attack them outright. If you don't, you're going to go ahead and hire a merc company since we need 9k troops to siege down this castle. So go ahead and just take out a loan or two and hire the free company. And of course, go ahead and just full annex whichever country you're fighting and take all of their money. Once you annex all of these provinces here, you can go ahead and complete the mission called Conquer Munster, which will basically give you claims on the rest of Ireland here, minus the north. Alright, and now it is time for another war. As you can see here, I'm going to go ahead and attack Thormund since I got my claims here. They are allied to some people, however, while I was waiting, Ireland and the Alliance networks basically imploded because England attacked Scotland, and Scotland was the only thing holding these little Irish miners together. So Scotland basically just is going to get destroyed by the English. So now I can go ahead and attack Thormund. They are only allied to Tyrconnell. However, I checked, and Tyrconnell, who is allied to Scotland, but Scotland won't join. So I'm just going to go ahead and attack them. At this point, make sure you're just declaring one of your wars. Again, we want to eat up Ireland as quickly as possible. And once you conquer this part of Ireland, you should be able to take this mission called Conquer Connaught, where you will get more claims here on the rest of Ireland. For your first government reform as Ireland, make sure you go ahead and take strengthened noble privileges for that extra manpower. So in my game, something unfortunate happened. Actually, multiple unfortunate things happened. Basically, when I was fighting Tyrconnell, because they were allied here with Thormund, they actually were also fighting the English, and the English vassalized them, so I couldn't really take them. Also, England was fighting Scotland, and Scotland just got absolutely destroyed. They only have one province left, but they still do have their vassal, the Isles, which is quite strange. So the English alliance to fight the Scottish is really not necessary in my game. Normally, they don't take this much. Usually, they'll kind of just take a little bit, at least for my tester runs, that's what they would do. However, in this game, they, for some reason, took literally everything that they could take, max 100% war score, because you can't actually take Scotland. They are above 100% war score. So I really don't need the English alliance in my game. In your game, you might still need them to help you out against the Scottish. The reason you want to attack Scotland is easier. However, sometimes you can go ahead and attack England, especially if England and Scotland fought. Not only that, but they also just broke their alliance with me. I was able to re-ally them, but then they broke it again. And so now we're not allied to them anymore. They also broke the royal marriage with me. The AI always does that for some reason. It's very hilarious. The AI will sacrifice its stability just to break a royal marriage for whatever reason. However, on the flip side, I was actually able to royal marry and ally the French. So if this does happen in your game and the English break an alliance with you, make sure you ally the French or someone big. Otherwise, the English will attack you, because in my tester runs, I have had the English attack me. So by this point in the game, your alliance network should look something like this. Either be allied with England to help out with Scotland, or vice versa, be allied to Scotland to help out with England. If you can't ally any of these people here, then just be allied to France so you don't get attacked by England, and then you can use France to eventually attack England. Another thing that you can do is try to ally one of England's rivals. However, that isn't guaranteed to work. I'm improving with Denmark right now to maybe ally them so they can help me out against the English. And so now, by this point, you should have either finished off most of Ireland minus what England starts with, or you should be just starting to finish them off. In my case, Kildare is the only one left here, so I'm going to go ahead and attack them. And after conquering Kildare and all these provinces here, you can complete this mission called Conquer Leinster. And after taking as much of Ireland as you can, ideally in your game you'd want to have conquered this part. However, of course, in mine, they are a vassal of the English. You should go ahead and start spying on either Scotland or England, depending on who you can attack and spy on. In my case, Scotland, non-existent, or basically non-existent. They're actually being attacked by the Danish right now. So the only person I can spy on is England. Make sure during this time, as you prepare to either go to war with England or Scotland, that you are actually building up a small navy. We don't actually start with a navy as Ormond since we're landlocked, so go ahead and start building up some ships as much as you can. For your first ID group as Ireland, go ahead and take economic ideas. You can take exploration if you really want to start colonizing this early in the game. However, keep in mind you are so poor that you probably won't even be able to maintain a colony without a deficit. So I would recommend economic for the exact same reason. You are very, very poor. The land in Ireland is absolutely terrible here, as you can see. You will make more money as you expand, of course, into Scotland and into Britain. However, for most of your core lands, they are still going to be very terrible and very poor. So for your first idea group as Ireland, make sure you take economic ideas. And by this point in the game, it's time to get ready to fight your first war against either Scotland or England. In my case, Scotland is completely gone, so the only person left to fight is England. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just get ready to fight them. In my case, I unfortunately actually have a regency council, so I'm going to wait for a few more years and build up my nation, get my army stronger, get my navy stronger, as this war against England in my game is going to be very tough. And now, after building up your nation, it's time to attack England. And yes, so now it's time to attack the English. The English actually integrated their vassal in that time that they had here, so that's nice. That should make things a little bit easier since there's no longer a capital fort here. And yes, so if like me, you're either going to be starting this war likely earlier, unless you get a regency council like I did, but regardless, you're going to be starting your first war against either Scotland or England. In my game, I'm going to fight England. As you can see, they'd actually royal marry me now, which is kind of hilarious. So I'm going to go ahead and attack England for one of the provinces here in Ireland, since it'll be easier to maintain. So I'm going to go ahead and attack them for the conquest of Tyrone and call in both France and Liège. And for the peace deal with England, what you want to go ahead and do is take something like this. Take all of Ireland and take these forts up here. Definitely take the one in Dumfries, as it'll allow you to get a foothold in the British Isles. If, like in your game, Scotland actually gets fully annexed by the English, go ahead and take a Scottish province. Dumfries is actually a Scottish province. I'm just going to take another one here so Scotland is more powerful, and use these provinces to release them so you can go ahead and reconquer Scotland's cores. I'm going to take something like this, take as much money as I can take, and go ahead and send the peace deal. And once you own all of the provinces in Ulster, you can go ahead and complete this mission called Conquer Ulster. And once you unite all of Ireland, you can go ahead and also complete this mission called Unite the Clans. And once you conquer Pale, you can go ahead and complete this mission called Beyond the Pale. It will actually give you claims in Wales, which is really nice, and some claims up here. After that first war with England, it is time to chill for a little while. I actually almost went bankrupt during that war. It was a very, very difficult war. I had to hire pretty much every single merc company in order to be able to even stand a chance against the English, but I did it nonetheless. As long as you are making sure that your country doesn't get occupied, you shouldn't go bankrupt despite you losing all of this money. As you can see, look at all of those loans that I have. So because of that, I'm going to chill for quite a while and get ready, build up our nation, and recover our manpower, and of course, fix our finances. And if, like me, Scotland was fully annexed by the English, go ahead and release them here from their Scottish cultured provinces, and you can go ahead and reconquer all the very nice cores that Scotland has. For your tier 3 government reform, I actually recommend taking royal favoritism. Now, the reason you want to take royal favoritism is because of this here, minus 10% cost of advisors with Rouge culture, which is really nice. However, this is one of the things in the national ideas of Ireland. So when you form Ireland, I don't remember if it's 10, I think it might be more than that. It might be 15 or 20. I don't remember. Don't quote me on that. I don't know off the top of my head. So when you form Ireland, you will actually get the 10% from this government reform on top of whatever Ireland gives you. So I recommend taking royal favoritism for your tier 3 government reform. For your second idea group as Ireland, you can take either exploration ideas if you want to start colonizing now. By this point in the game, you should be able to afford at least one colony. However, if like me, you don't really like colonizing, I personally don't really like colonizing, then go ahead and take quality ideas for your next idea group, as this will pair well with economic ideas. You can see there it gives plus 5% discipline. So for your second idea group, if you don't want to colonize just yet, take quality. However, if you want to start colonizing, then go ahead and just take exploration ideas. I'm going to take quality ideas. And now it is time to get ready for your second war against England. If your first war was against Scotland and they were still alive, then of course you took most of this northern part, so this will be your first war against England. However, if you fought England first like I did, then this will go ahead and be your second war. For your second war against England, if like me you have a Scottish vassal, then go ahead and use those cores to reconquer. If you don't, again, just use the claims that you have from Ireland and the claims that you might have fabricated to go ahead and expand into the main British Isles. So I'm going to go ahead and attack England for the reconquest of Lothian, call in both of my allies here. And for your peace deal with England, go ahead and take something like this. If you have a Scottish vassal, go ahead and of course give them back all the claims that you can. Take something like this, maybe take the provinces in the north. Some people, the strategy that they like to do is to take Northumberland and then release the tag of Northumberland. You can go ahead and do that. I actually might do that in my game. So take that fort and just take whatever else you'd like. Maybe take a province here to release Wales. I'm not really going to do that. I'm just going to take the provinces outright for myself. So go ahead and take something like like this, take all their money and war reps. And by this point in the game, your nation should look something like this. You basically should have conquered this part of the British Isles. As you can see here, I got Scotland just as a vassal. However, in your game, you might actually own all of this land yourself if you attack Scotland first and they were still alive. You also, of course, by this point should have unified Ireland, even taken the British holdings of Hale, and your alliance network should look something like this. If you are fighting England, of course, being allied to France, when you first start your game, you want to try and ally England so they can help you out against Scotland. However, like in my game, sometimes the English will absolutely just demolish the Scottish and they don't become a problem anymore. It's the English that become the problem, so you need to ally with France. Normally, you are able to ally France. If you do struggle to ally France, you can go ahead and mark yourself as threatened by England if you want. You can go ahead, you can go here and mark yourself as threatened, and the French will almost always ally you. For our idea groups, our first two idea groups that we took was economic and quality. You can take exploration ideas for your idea group if you really want to. However, what you need to keep in mind is even now, as Ireland, you are still very, very poor, and you probably won't even have enough money to sustain even one colony if you take exploration for your first idea group. So I'd recommend take economic ideas for your first idea group so that you can build up your nation, and then for your third or even fourth idea, then take exploration. And for your fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth, it really is up to you. You can choose whatever you want and tailor your game to how it is going. As Ireland or as one of the Irish miners, of course, you can go ahead and form Ireland. What a lot of people do is they go ahead and they form Ireland, and then you conquer the British Isles, and then you can form Great Britain for the Great British Mission Tree, which is very nice. But you keep the Irish ideas because Irish ideas are actually quite a lot better than British ideas. So you can go ahead and do that strategy, or you can just go ahead and play a completely organic Ireland game, although you do want to conquer all the British Isles just so you can get into the English Channel node. This is what we took for our first three government reforms. Again, take this one because the Irish national ideas already give you a negative modifier for the cost of with rulers culture, and this will give you more. For tier 4, if you are going to stay Catholic, which it really depends what you want to do, you can either go Anglican or be Catholic, it's ultimately up to you, then I would recommend taking lands for the church if you are staying Catholic. However, if you aren't, then go ahead and take curtail clerical privilege. For tier 5, take meritocratic recruitment. For tier 6, take general estates. For tier 7, take this one here, as you should have taken economic ideas, and that goods produce is very powerful. For tier 8, go ahead and take this one. For tier 9, you can either take regional representation or this one right here. And for tier 10, make sure you take right to petition. And this has been a guide for the nation of Ireland in EU4 1.34. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel as it helps out immensely. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.